I love your home already, and I haven't even seen it. Does that sound crazy? It's not. When we improve our surroundings, we simultaneously empower ourselves, which means every inch of space within your reach right now is an opportunity to tell the story you want to be living. Tell me that's not its own kind of wonderful. I have spent the last 15 years consulting clients and their homes through the wisdom of feng shui, intentional design, and some crystal clear communication. And you know what happens when you bring those three together? Life-changing magic. Your home is already in a conversation with you, so why not learn how to merge that awareness with some simple, straightforward, and smart action to co-create the life you want? I'm Amanda Gibby Peters, and I am here to help you learn how. Welcome to House Therapy. If you've experimented with feng shui in the past, or are maybe currently making a few changes in your space, and you feel like the results are a little lukewarm, then today's episode is for you. While many feng shui tips that we find online or in books make this practice, and more importantly, its results, seem easier to conjure than your ABCs, well, this wisdom does require a little more than what a tidy inspiration of it implies. There are so many nuances and layers to this work, and so it makes sense that there isn't really a one-size-fits-all answer to any situation. And while that may seem or feel intimidating, it is actually a fabulous aspect. It means there are countless configurations for working with your home and you to create a more supportive, nurturing, and empowering space than you might even realize. So, if you're not in love with your feng shui experience thus far, let's look at a few possible splinters. Splinter 1. You work from Instagram or Pinterest or social media posts only. Okay, context is everything in feng shui, and there's so much more to it than meets the scrolling eye. If you want to affect change that will get your attention pleasantly, I might add, develop a more discerning understanding of this practice. And with a new year stretching its glorious self in front of you, what better time than now? So here's my house therapy tip. Start by making a few mindful changes to your skills, knowledge, self-cultivation life area. Now, I know we haven't explored the feng shui map much on the podcast yet, but if you want to learn more about it, you can head over to my blog and type Bagua, B-A-G-U-A, in the search, or you can enroll in my Become Your Own Feng Shui Consultant course. Okay, so here are two ways to locate this spot. In BTB Feng Shui, we orient the map based off the front door. So standing at the front door and looking into your home, you're going to divide the entire space into basically a tic-tac-toe board of 9 equal squares. Now again, standing at the front door and looking into your home, the front left square of your home is the skills, knowledge, self-cultivation area. If you are someone who's more familiar with compass feng shui, the skills, knowledge, self-cultivation area is the northeast sector of your home. For either interpretation, here's the tip. Consider a photo of a mountain in this area to suggest weightiness. When we get that weightiness, it's a metaphor that implies keeping your feet firmly on the ground while seeking to understand something more deeply. So in this case, feng shui, once you get that mountain up, then find a book, a teacher, or a consultant and start building the base of your shui mountain. Basically, I want you to wean off of just the Instagram, Pinterest, and social media posts. Okay, splinter 2, you do too much too soon. I know no one thinks that this could ever happen, but I promise you, as someone who works with shui every single day and has worked with many, many clients, it is a true story. It does happen. So, as mentioned in the previous episode, Feng Shui triggers change, and too much change sometimes, when it happens simultaneously, can turn to chaos, and that leads to two problems. First, you become distracted by things that aren't really changes you want to be managing. And then those distractions interrupt the opportunities and invitations that do really matter to you. So, my house therapy tip: make 1 to 2 changes at a time, and then wait and watch for quote unquote coincidences or unexpected developments for at least a week. If you want to make it a little more feng shui specific, 9 days, and then boogie on to round 2 of, yep, you guessed it, 1 to 2 changes. By the way, this is where you will start to develop a muscle memory, because when you implement only a few feng shui changes or adjustments at a time, you're more fully available and aware of how it triggered or influenced change. And then you can carry that wisdom with you the rest of your days. All right, splinter 3. You tend to go for quick wins only. So, for example, let's say you place a water fountain in the career area because you read it will bring in more clients, or you put a pair of rose quartz in the bedroom to attract a relationship. And now you're crossing your fingers that your feng shui cure will incentivize the response you want. Well, let's suppose you get the financial windfall or the perfect honey walks into your life. If you haven't addressed the actual splinters that caused the absence in the first place, there's a really good chance that existing pattern will continue. Or, in other words, easy come, easy go. So, my house therapy tip for you: cultivate your personal chi with a ritual that matches your shui adjustments. For example, if you're looking to make more money, find a class or read a book that will help you learn how to make smart money decisions, and then commit to that ritual with the same intensity you hold for the outcomes you're expecting. Because when those two forces come together, that's when the miracles and magic start happening. All right, splinter 4. You struggle with consistency. Half-hearted attempts do not provoke big change. Let me just say that again. Half-hearted attempts do not provoke big change. So if you really mean it, you got to figure out how to show up to this practice without interruption. So here's my house therapy tip. Stagnant energy is energy that repeats itself. So if you feel stuck, like nothing's ever changing, or it's hard to stay committed to something, clear some clutter, dust, create a little open space on the shelves or in the closet, move 27 things around. Deliberately wake up and shake up those tired ways of living, seeing, and being in your space. All right, splinter 5. You reach for the feng shui only when you're desperate. Okay, your chi is always going to be an ingredient in any adjustment you make, and desperate energy sedates Shui's superpowers. This is exactly why I encourage this practice as a lifestyle, so that your home is always a little extra cushy with a good chi reserve. Because when the mood dips or your energy feels flat, your house is already primed to help you make a quicker comeback. So, my house therapy tip for you: come up with your own list of house rituals and then weave them into your everyday. And if you have no idea where to start, in the show notes, I share a blog post with 9 rituals that I swear by. All right, splinter 6. You avoid the hard work. I can't tell you how many times I've heard a client say, "Don't make me clear the clutter." To which I often respond, high vibe magic isn't going to happen in low vibe spaces. And whatever that hard work is that you're avoiding, the choices, the decisions, the investment of your energy, the effort, all of that is going to hold whatever it is you're trying to relieve in place. And on the flip side of that, abundance of any kind needs room to move around. So, my house therapy tip: especially when it comes to clutter, until you make it a priority, it is going to impact your priorities. So, try this. Clear a space or pare it down to the essentials and leave it bare-ish for 9 days. Pay attention then to any coincidences, unexpected changes, welcome surprises that occur. And then when those 9 days are over, be really specific about what you missed. And that's what goes back. Splinter 7. You fall back on your familiar excuses. Netflix lures you away from making progress. You end up scrolling instead of actually shuiing. Distractions cut in line of that to-do list. You spend your precious resources, time, money, energy on other things that aren't really priorities. So my house therapy tip here, those excuses are stories that are going to drain you of energy the minute you entertain them. So write down your most played stories and then burn them. Fire is the element of transformation, and this simple ritual signals you're releasing your need for those excuses. Splinter 8. You say no to the assignment when it shows up. So we know feng shui is going to trigger change, but it often will look differently than we'd like. So my house therapy tip for you here is ask yourself this. When I am pulled to my edge, do I push my sleeves up or walk away? How much faith do I have in myself? Because when an assignment to grow shows up, we got to do the work, not question it, not walk out on it. Instead, we wrestle with self-doubt, we do the work, we trust the process, and repeat. All right, we're down to our last splinter here. You work the shui and ignore your own qi. So in the words of Lillian Tu, you yourself create the greatest energy. I can come to your house and do all the feng shui, but if you allow yourself to be very negative, then you create that kind of energy. So here's my house therapy tip. There's a reason my courses and classes and consultations usually begin with a dose of personal qi care discussion. Feng shui is always going to need your cooperation, so it helps tremendously to be tending to your own energy because it is part of Shui's hype team, if you will. When our own side of the street is being taken care of, we are just so much more available and receptive to opportunities, synchronicities, the right people, and auspicious timing. And that's when things begin to just line up almost effortlessly. Sometimes you'll hear people say it's magical. So if your life or the work you're doing feels more push than pull, it could be a sign that it's time for a little personal refurbishing. And it's not always fun, I know, but this is where we can make the most effective and effective changes. And it's worth that effort because when we sincerely change our daily routines and rituals for the better, our outlook sharpens, our discernment improves, we start feeding the right energy into our muscles, and we become more confident with the decisions and boundaries about what is worth our resource, our time, our energy, our money, our attention. On the other side of that, when personal energy gets low, we start to collapse from carrying what isn't in our best interests. And soon enough, that's when more of those energetic thieves close in on us. So it goes back to keeping our own energy clear. And listen, this can be as simple as drinking more water, going to bed earlier, observing silence and stillness a couple minutes every day, breaking a sweat, getting outdoors, reading something other than your social media feed, musing on what's going well in your world. Because over time, these underestimated deposits compound into big results. And this is when feng shui really can turn into a magic carpet ride. And just like that, it's another episode wrap. A million thanks for being here and listening today. And if you're not quite ready for this conversation to end, come find me on the gram. I'm at Amanda Gibby Peters, or grab a copy of my book, Simple Shui for Every Day, available at Amazon and Bookshop and anywhere you get your books. And if you want to work with me, check out simpleshui.com for all the ways we can make that happen. Cheers to marvelous week, sweets, and I hope to see you back here in a week. Until then, give that house of yours some big love for me.